All right, hello everybody. I really look bad today, so let me tell you what happened. We had a really bad storm that came through around 5 o'clock in the morning, and the power went out. It was bad. Um, I've been without power since probably about 1:30 p.m. and it is now 2:23 in the afternoon. So this is how God works. Because I had no power and I had no internet, I had nothing, I went and got me something to eat. I put a little bit of gas in the car, and I said, I'm just going to come back and listen to some of this stuff that I already have saved on my tablet while I do a little bit of cleaning, because I know that they're going to put the power back on. You're going to love this. So I went through one of my videos that I had on my tablet, and I went ahead and I reshared it on my Telegram channel, Jackie's Like-Minded People. So let me pull this up and show you if you can see it. Anyway, it's called The Lost History of Flat Earth. This was actually, I'm going to pause it a second. Not the first part of it. It's actually like in the middle. And for some reason, this is just what I clicked on. So in this, he was talking about the moon, land masses, horoscopes, and everything, and how we're out of balance. Now, you may say, well, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. So I guess the easiest thing to do right now is to play about the first 15 minutes of it and let you listen to it. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it before. If you've never seen it before, I may be able to send this whole segment in an email, and you can watch it because I can send it in a transfer on my Telegram page, so I know I can send it in an email. So you're going to have to email me if you want to see it, and then I can send you this link, and you can watch it without having to worry about commercials. Period. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'm not talking on Telegram. So let's see if we can get this to play. I want you to listen to this first 15 minutes. I'm going to turn my phone around where you can kind of look at it. I may have to make a second video in explanation. So we're just going to call this part 1 of what we want to talk about, because I'm getting a lot of downloads today, guys. A lot of downloads, and they're coming really, really fast. Even as I'm talking to you, I can hear really, really talking fast in my head. So let's get through this. Let's listen to the first about 15 or so minutes of this. I only have 40 minutes on here, so if there's enough time, I'll explain, but I'm probably going to have to do a part 2. So let's go through and do part 1 of this. Y'all excited and ready? Here we go.
Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward path had been lost. And during my journey, as I made my way through the tangled labyrinthine paths of deception, looking for the center of truth, I met a brilliant woman who taught me many a flat fact. But out of all of her flat facts, it was one fact that struck a chord. She showed me the maps of old and asked me to find the key anomaly, the one error that all maps contained. I pointed to the varying representations of unknown land masses, to Hyperborea. She shook her head. No, find the glitch. We live on a flat plane. Our world is an electromagnetic terrarium, surrounded by an ethereal sea of water. And like all terrariums, after initial creation, they begin to form their own self-sustaining atmosphere. The sun and the moon journey above our flat realm in concentric spirals. There are 5 prominent circles of latitude we are told. We have the Arctic Circle, closest to the center, the Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degrees latitude in the northern hemisphere, the equator at 0 degree latitude, the Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degrees latitude in the southern hemisphere, and the Antarctic Circle. The sun journeys from the equator at the March equinox up in concentric spirals to the Tropic of Cancer. When the sun is in this position, the northern hemisphere experiences summer and the southern hemisphere experiences winter. After which, the sun turns and begins making its way back to the equator. The word tropic stems from the Latin word tropicus, which means pertaining to a turn. The sun journeys back, taking the same concentric spiral path, and reaches the equator again. It then keeps going and reaches the Tropic of Capricorn. When the sun is in this position, the southern hemisphere experiences summer and the northern hemisphere experiences winter. After a time, the sun turns and begins making its way back to the equator for the March equinox. The equinox occurs when the sun is journeying the circle of the equator, and those living along this line of latitude will see the sun directly overhead at a 90-degree angle at solar noon. The March equinox marks a season of spring in the northern hemisphere, and the September equinox marks a season of autumn. If you live in the southern hemisphere, this is reversed, and the September equinox marks spring and the March equinox autumn. It is important to note that the sun never reaches the Arctic Circle, nor does it reach the Antarctic Circle. It never reaches the poles. It journeys to the tropic circles and then turns back. The point at which the sun reaches its most northerly and southerly excursion relative to the equator is called the solstice. Solstice comes from the Latin word solstitium, which means point at which the sun seems to stand still. And indeed, many do note that the sun seems to stop on the solstices. And this is because, in a sense, it does. It reaches the most northerly and southerly excursion and turns back. But why the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn? Who names these circles of latitude? Our historical ancestors did. They had clocks that not...
Okay, I wanted to go over this really quick, because I'm holding it with my phone so that it's really bad. It's not about as much as you seeing it as more of you hearing it. All right, so we know that our ancestors used the stars to track maps and to know where they were going. It's very important to understand that. So there's a reason for a lot of things. So I'm going to tell you a vision that I had a few years ago. Let me switch my hand real quick. God showed me a bubble. And inside that bubble were trees and animals, and they're running around in this bubble. Then he showed me a stick man, and the stick man was outside of the bubble. And the stick man was poking at the bubble. And the animals and the plants kind of look at the man and just ignore him, and they're going on about their thing. But the man is determined to keep poking at this bubble. Then God showed me a bubble again, and he showed me the man inside of the bubble, and the man was running in the same circle with the animals, and they were running around. What he was telling me is we're outside the balance of nature, and we're poking at it all the time because we think we're in the right and that nature is wrong, and we can't understand why it won't do what we want it to do. And nature's looking at us like, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. You're the crazy one. But we're going to incorporate our lives to get back to nature. So we're going to be in synchronicity of nature. So however the plants grow and they open and they go to sleep and the animals do this and do that, we're finally going to move into that balance. So you have to understand that vision to understand this. And I've talked about that vision, I believe, on different videos on YouTube. I know I've talked about it on my Facebook page a while back. I've talked about it on Telegram. But it's very important to understand this vision. Now you may say, why does God keep showing you stickmen? Because God speaks to each of us in our personalities. And because I kept my childlike ways, God talks to me like he talks to a child. I am a child of God. You're supposed to be a child of God. You're supposed to stay childlike, and I did. It doesn't mean I'm not an adult. It doesn't mean I can't act an adult, but my attitude, my way of looking at things, I see it through a child's eyes. So I act accordingly as a child, innocent on a lot of things. I know that's kind of hard to understand right now, but it will make sense to you the more that you wake up. But you're supposed to be childlike. So God speaks to me like a child. He speaks to you how your personality is, how you are. So if you act like, let's just say, a very serious person, you're probably going to have a lot of serious conversations and things will be presented to you in a serious type of way. If you're a scientific type of person, everything has to make sense scientifically. You've got to understand why this chemical and that chemical combine together to make this chemical. He may talk to you like he's talking to a scientist. He talks to you the way your personality is. And once you understand that, then you're like, oh my gosh, he has been talking to me. I just thought that I was crazy. You're not crazy. You're not paying attention. And this is what I keep trying to teach you guys. You have to pay attention because God doesn't talk to you the way he talks to me. He doesn't talk to me the way he talks to you. I wouldn't understand that. Only you understand that, if that makes sense. So let's go back to listening to this. My arm quit hurting. I'm so sorry. Like I said, I can send this segment of the video to you in an email. Don't hesitate to email me and say, Jackie, can you send it? Or leave me a message here with your email, and I will get it to you today or tomorrow. I promise. The way I sleep, because my dog has ate my couch, I have like a mattress pad over it. It's one that you would fold up and only use like when you need to. So I throw that over my couch when I sleep. But because the couch is like this, the mattress sinks. So I end up sleeping like not evenly. And when I wake up, it affects the nerves in my back. So my hands go to sleep. I need to get to a chiropractor and have him pop me and put me back in place. So because of that, I'll like lose the feeling in my hands. I'll drop things or I get in excruciating pain. So that's why I was shaking, because I was starting to hurt. Everything's going to be fine with me. Don't worry about it. I'm going to be okay. I just have to deal with it a little bit longer. That's all right. I'll deal with it as long as I have to, because I know it will not be for the rest of my life. So I'm going to try to flip the phone back over. Like I said, you're probably not going to see it very well. And I know that. It's not about you seeing it as much as you listening to it. I can send you the video so you can listen and see it on your own tablet, your own phone, or whatever. But this is just for you to hear it mainly. Okay? So let me flip it back around. And I'm going to play it again.
Only told them the seconds of the hour, the hours in the day, but also the moment of dusk and dawn, and the current phase of the moon. Their clocks understood the true time, the bigger picture. They understood the celestial clock. The stars above us, beyond our firmament, and in the waters above, revolve at a constant 1 degree every 4 minutes from east to west, that is, anti-clockwise. This means they revolve at 15 degrees each hour. 15 degrees multiplied by 24 hours is 360, a full circle. The stars above are fixed. They do not stray from their anti-clockwise journey, but revolve and complete a full circle every day. Our ancient, historical ancestors knew this. They assigned the stars above into fixed constellations. They divided the 360-degree circle of the sky above into 12 divisional arcs of 30 degrees, in which each constellation of the zodiac resides in. They designated each constellation in each 30-degree arc with an anthropomorphic symbol, most of which are animals. Zodiac is an interesting word. Zodiac, the arcs of the zoo. Yes, the parallels with Noah's Ark are strikingly obvious. Each constellation of the zodiac moves from its fixed position in the waters above at 1 degree every 72 years. The stars in the circle above us are fixed in their positions, but every 72 years, the entire circle shifts 1 degree. This is what is called the precession of the equinox. Remember, each arc is 30 degrees. If we multiply 72 with 30, we get 2,160 years. It takes 2,160 years for the circle above to shift 1 whole arc. Astronomers call this an age, and this is what is meant by entering or the dawn of a new age. As Wikipedia tells us, the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn were named such because many years ago, in the days before Christ, the days before BC, the sun was in the constellation of Cancer at the June solstice, and the sun was in the constellation of Capricorn at the December solstice. What does it mean for the sun to be in a given constellation during the solstice? It means a position of the sun in the sky at solar noon. Of course, during solar noon, we would not actually be able to see the stars in the firmament beyond. Therefore, to discern the sun's position relative to the constellations requires either 1, a thorough understanding of the stars and their positions above. Our ancient ancestors, we are told, created star charts and used devices such as astrolabes. Or 2, computer technology that is able to map and overlap the sun's position against the backdrop of the stars and constellations at solar noon. The sun's presence in the constellation of a given zodiac sign means exactly as it sounds. At solar noon, on the day of the solstice, the sun should be in front of a given constellation. Look closer at the zodiac wheel featured on the dial of these clocks. Here we see that both the constellations of Cancer and Capricorn are polar opposites to one another. These are the names of the 2 lines of latitude on the maps, and that we use to discern the sun's most northerly and southerly excursion above our flat plane. All historical cartographic world maps display both these circles of latitude as Cancer and Capricorn. We see it here on Mercator's maps, on the Ortelius, on the Rouge, on the Urbano Monte. Cartographic maps combine so-called science with aesthetics to communicate spatial information effectively. They strive to be accurate. And we still use this designation of Cancer and Capricorn for these circles of latitude on our cartographic maps today. Google Earth also uses these designations. But why? As Wikipedia states, when this line of latitude was named in the last centuries BC, the sun was in the constellation Cancer at the June solstice, the time each year that the sun reaches its zenith at this latitude. Similarly, when the Tropic of Capricorn was named, the sun was in the constellation of Capricorn at the December solstice. And the wheel of the zodiac makes this very easy to understand. For instance, if the sun is in any given constellation at solar noon on the June solstice, then its counterpart on the December solstice will always be in the constellation opposite to the June sign. And this is represented with a straight vertical line. If, for instance, the sun was in the constellation of Aries at the June solstice, then it will appear in the constellation of Libra in the December solstice. If the sun was in the constellation of Pisces at the June solstice, then it will be in the constellation of Virgo during the December solstice. These signs are, in a sense, bound in their opposition to one another. And this is where it becomes interesting. The vertical line here represents the tropic circles and their respective constellations during the solstices. But they are governed by another circle of latitude, the equator. On the wheel, this is represented by the horizontal line. And you'll see that the lines form a cross. The equator and the tropic circles are bound in unison by this cross. Remember, the zodiac is the clock face of the circle of stars above us. When one turns anti-clockwise, the rest follow. And just like the signs of the solstices, the left hand of the horizontal line here represents the constellation the sun is in during the March equinox, and the right hand side representative of the sign during the September equinox. And it is the left hand side of the cross, the March equinox, or what is referred to as the vernal equinox, and its zodiac sign, which acts as a reference point for the entire celestial coordinate system. It's called the first point of Aries. The naming of this reference point after the sign Aries is arbitrary, or so they say. We also use it as a reference point for naming the age we are in. And if we start in the age of Aries, we can illustrate the precession of the equinox and the designation of constellations to their corresponding circles of latitude quite clearly. For instance, if the sun is in the constellation of Aries during the March equinox, then we have the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. We also see that the sun will be in the constellation of Libra during the September equinox. Now the stars above us are revolving anti-clockwise from their usual fixed positions at 1 degree every 72 years, and a whole zodiac arc every 2,160 years. So let's jump 2,160 years to the age of Pisces. The sun is, of course, in Pisces during the March equinox. We have the Tropic of Gemini and Sagittarius, and the sun in Virgo during the September equinox. You'll no doubt have noticed that the wheel represented here turns clockwise, and that's because it's a representation of the constellations, as if your view was outside of the firmament and looking down on the stars. If you were standing underneath this wheel and looking up, it would rotate anti-clockwise. I am using the clockwise representation because it is the best way to illustrate the precession of the equinox. This rotation keeps shifting one arc every 2,160 years until the wheel makes a full circle, or what is known as a great year. Why is this important? What we see here, and what the mainstream narrative confirms, is that the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn occurred during the age of Aries. For the last 2,000 years or so, we have been in the age of Pisces. Remember, an age lasts for roughly 2,160 years. And we are now on the cusp of entering into the age of Aquarius. On June 2020, during the solstice, the sun entered the border of Taurus, and therefore the transition has already begun. And Google will tell you this yourself if you search. A new age, or a precession of 30 degrees into a new constellation on the March equinox is not some new age, pseudo-spiritual fantasy of astrologists and yogis alike. It is an astronomical law of the stars above in the firmament, and you can track it yourself every equinox and solstice. It is a critical and integral component in the function of our realm. If we are entering the age of Aquarius, then that means that the sun has not been in the constellation of Cancer or Capricorn during the solstice for over 2,000 years, when our realm was in the age of Aries. All the old and current cartographic maps, and even Google Earth, represent these circles of latitude as the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. There are no maps that present the tropic lines correctly as they should be in the age of Pisces, our current age. Wikipedia and other mainstream narratives of deception tell us that our ancient historical ancestors of horse and cart and copper chisels named these circles of latitude in the times of BC, and no one in the course of history that followed bothered to change the names of the tropics to their accurate designation. We are in the age of Pisces, and have been for over 2,000 years. The circles of latitude should be called the Tropic of Gemini and the Tropic of Sagittarius. And so what? What's in a name? But this brilliant lady, who taught me this flat fact, was patient. What's in a name? Everything. And until she said it, I didn't realize how stupid I'd been to overlook this. Maps are not just pretty projections of the landmass on Earth. They are practical instruments of navigation. Our ancient historical ancestors, we are told, depended on celestial navigation, on the position of the stars in the firmament above to guide their way when at sea. Follow the North Star. And if perchance their compasses failed, then knowing the map of the stars above would be critical. Believing that our ancestors just continued to use the designation of Cancer and Capricorn for the tropics that was established by their own historical ancestors who belong to a different age entirely is absurd. Celestial navigation would have been an essential skill set for anyone navigating their way across the oceans. And if they did have advanced technology, like we have our computers and GPS systems, then would they really be that lazy and neglectful to not bother designating the tropic circles to their correct constellation titles? Did they really invest so much time building the most advanced astronomical clocks only to neglect their maps? No, they did not. All these historical maps present designations for the tropic circles of latitude that are well over 2,000 years old. Why? And why are we still using this designation today? For you see, these maps, and all our maps, including Google Earth, are tools of deception. Where are the maps from the age of Pisces? The maps of the last 2,000 years? And could these maps actually be over 2,000 years old? It seems like someone does not want us to know the age we reside in, or wants to distract us from finding out just how important the precession of the equinox really is. This brilliant...
Okay, I gotta pause it because I'm hurting again. Okay, so what he's saying is they didn't change it for 2,000 years. We lost time. So when they say we're at 2024, we're actually under the age of Aquarius right now. What happened to the prior 2,000 years? Where did it go? They didn't change it. Okay, there's a reason. I'm probably going to have to pause and go do some stretches and stuff before we start on part 2. But I want you to understand, the lying goes beyond what you can imagine, okay? They have been lying to us so bad, we're not even in the right time frame. So when they say we're in the matrix, we're not right. We're not. We are so far out of balance. We don't even know if we're coming or going. We really don't. This is why so many people are having depression and anxiety, along with the things that are in your water and your food. But we're not right. We're not balanced. We have to be balanced. Everything has to reset and start over. So let's think of it this way. When your computer doesn't work right, it's like freezing up or something and you want to fix it. You reset it. You turn it off, count to 10, and you turn it back on, and it resets. What's about to happen? What is about to happen? And here's your download right when I'm talking. We're going to shut down for 10 days. What did I just say we normally do when we turn off a computer? Count to 10. 10 days. 10 seconds. You get it? You love it, don't you? I love it when I get downloads when I'm talking. All right. So that's just why it's a 10-day of watching the truth come out during this. So if we count to 10 when we reset our computers or our phones, it makes sense that it would take 10 days to upload the new information so you will be reset. You get it? Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm the only psychic who talks like this. I know it. I'm beyond other people. It's really hard to grasp what I say. I know it. I know there's others out there like me. They probably either explain it different than I do. So I try my hardest to get it right. So we're going to go ahead here. And this has been over 30 minutes long. I want you to comprehend what you just listened to. I'm going to pick up exactly where I left off when I take a break and do some stretching. There's about another 10 minutes of this video I want you to listen to so I can explain it to you even more, because this goes really, really deep. And you're going to understand that the timeline that we are on is not the correct timeline. When they tell you about the holidays are not right, like when we celebrate Jesus' birthday, it's not the right day. Well, that's because we're on a completely wrong timeline. We are out of balance. So this whole reset, this great awakening that we're going through, is to rebalance us. So we are in line with the planet, in line with the animals, in line with the plants. And we live in harmony the way we were supposed to. If you listen to the story of Adam and Eve, you go all the way back to that. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Everybody's heard this story. The first man, the first woman. They lived in a place where they lived with animals and plants, and they respected everything. That's how we're supposed to live, guys. Not, oh, that tree's in my way, I'm going to chop it down. Oh, that possum is walking across the road too slow, I want to get to the store, I'm just going to run it over. We are not in a balance. We have to be back into a balance. In order to be harmonized with everything that's going on this planet, we have to reset ourselves. 10 days, reset ourselves so we can get back into balance. And some people are not going to be able to accept this. This is where you get what I talked about the other day, about the demons and the negative energy. They don't want this reset. They want to stay where they are because they're in complete control of this timeline. You get it now? We're supposed to be on a different timeline. They keeping us. It's almost like being able to travel back to the past, and you just keep going back to the same date in the past, going back Groundhog Day, back and back to the same day. You're reliving the same day. We are actually living the same 2,000 years over and over and over and over. We haven't reset. We're supposed to evolve. Our timeline has to change, and it has not changed. You're saying, well, the everything's changed, Jackie. The way we dress has changed. The way we do our hair has changed. No, we're still in a very old 2,000-year-old timeline. We may have changed, but we're still in that timeline. And this is the timeline that the devil controls. We've got to get out of it because we are breaking away from the devil and we're moving back into the light of God. That is the balance of nature. That is where we're supposed to be. This is why there has to be a timeline adjustment, a reset, a new balance. This is why they keep telling you nobody can stop what is happening, because we're going to do this. Nobody can stop it. Not Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, not Nancy Pelosi, not George Soros, not the World Health Organization. Nobody is going to be able to stop what is happening because it's beyond their control. It's beyond anybody's control because God is powerful. God is everything, and God is resetting us. So do not be afraid of your horoscopes. Do not be afraid of people who can read them. You've been lied to. There was a reason why they didn't want you to talk to these people. There's a reason why they didn't want you to understand it, because they didn't want you to see and figure out we're on the wrong timeline. All right, so let me take a break. I'm going to do some stretching. We're going to let this load up on YouTube. I'm going to share it on my platforms, on Twitter and on Telegram. Then I will reload part 2 where we're going to go in a little bit deeper. But if you need to reach me, please reach out to me. Let me get this video to you so you can get in more. We're not going to do the whole video on here. I'm only going to do 2 parts, but I want to do this because it has to do with what downloads I'm getting today. It's very, very important. So let's say, let's give me about 2 hours and I should have part 2 up. All right, see y'all in a little bit.